Well, the year 1997-98 was a year of transition because we were just starting into the assistant governor, I guess you would say, routine. And it was a conscious attempt on the part of Rotary to put together a more coordinated program for about 3 years, spanning 3 district governors, and trying to get their work coordinated and smoothly transitioned from one year to the next, so that people would begin to see that Rotary had a big plan out there, and that you were just not a small part of the plan, but you were just one of the keys to making Rotary grow and look better as a service instrument to the world. In order to do that, we had some projects, and they were overseas projects. And in that particular time span, which included Tom Todd as district governor, we had pumps providing water for segments of remote Bangladesh. And this enabled individual clubs in our district to provide dollar donations, which would go directly to providing water for a group of maybe 1,500 to 1,800 Bangladeshis who were in a very remote area. And these were for wells that were drilled by hand. And they were drilled with the following equipment and personnel. Everything that was used to drill a well would go in on a wheelbarrow. And I know this from firsthand because one of my trips during the time I was district governor was to go to Bangladesh and go to one of these rural areas and see that stuff carried in, and then see a trestle put up with an old man at one side and a young man at the other side. And the old man climbed up on top of the trestle and had a pitcher that he poured a mixture of sand and water down a pipe. And that filled up essentially maybe a 40-foot length of pipe. And the young man had tied to that pipe a yoke so that the young man could push down on one end of his lever here, and that would lift the pipe. And then suddenly he would let loose. And when the pipe went down, it hammered itself into the structure below. And that was possible only because the structure below didn't have any hard rock in it. It didn't have anything but sand down there. And so that pair of individuals could work their way slowly down until they got to something like 110 feet or something like that. And at about that depth, they would hit water. And the water would rise in the pipe to a depth of something like 18 feet from the surface. And that was sufficiently small amount that you could then install a hand pump, and the hand pump would bring the water to the surface. And we observed this going on with a number of villagers standing by, and we examined the quality of the water and so forth. And one of the things that began to evolve was that because of the large amounts of water that were now being demanded of the strata below the surface, the water that came up was water that had been pushed down from the Himalayas into the body of water below. And that water contained arsenic. And that was, of course, a poisonous material. However, the Bangladeshi people began to realize that if they drank the arsenic-laden water, it would result in their living about 15 years longer than if they drank the water that came out of the monsoon ponds where their cattle drank and where they washed their clothes and where all these other dirty activities occurred that were man-produced activities. And so our team was very much accepted to come into the community and do this sort of thing. And I don't remember the the cost of doing one well, but I think it was something in the neighborhood of $65. And so we recruited people. Oh my goodness, excuse me. We recruited people to give money based on the fact that it was feasible for one club to claim credit for having drilled well. And the well drilling was done by hand and would take sometimes a day and a half or 2 days. And the Bangladeshi people would then have a pump where they could get water 24/7. And as a result of that, we brought together a district on projects that could clearly be demonstrated to helping a broad spectrum of people in a country that was in need.